Today's video is powered by Hauppauge. Skip it up and that up. What's going on, guys? You people sent some great articles today. I'll talk about some of them tomorrow. Time just got cut short. And the other stuff I looked at, once again, I'm starting to lose my patience with N4G. It's the top articles that get there. It's not their fault, actually, how their system works. I said the wrong thing last time. What happens is people thumbs up or give these articles credit. I don't even know what the hell it's called, and they get to like the top of the food chain. And it's always like Xbox 720 is going to own the PS4, and the PS4 is going to own this Xbox 720, and this is why the Wii U sucks, and the Wii U doesn't suck, and it does suck, and it doesn't suck, and it does suck, and the Xbox 720 gives me a boner, and it doesn't give me a boner, and I'm flaccid for a month when I think about Steve Ballmer. It's like, oh my god, the same stuff over and over again. Stop! Unless you have like a rumor with a credibility behind it or something, stop talking about the same thing over and over again, and people just eat it up. Anyway, I want to talk about something different today. I wrote down, you can hear my mouse click here, I wrote down a wish list. I was going to say what next gen should be, but I know some of this crap is unrealistic because just people are sheeple and will buy whatever is kind of thrown at them. No offense, I've done it too. I complain about COD every year, and I buy Call of Duty. So I'm making fun of myself with that statement. But anyway, let's start off with my list here. It's not a huge list. It's not a small one either. Now, the first bullet I want to talk about is more innovation. All of the developers out there, all the publishers have been whining since like mid-2011 saying, we just can't come up with new ideas because the consoles are too limited, and that's why we just have to keep making sequels and sequels and sequels. I've called bullshit before. I still call bullshit. It's just because they're afraid to try something different because something different doesn't make them money. It's kind of the reason why I picked Dear Esther footage for this video. You got to try something different. The stuff is getting stale, okay? You know, when I look at like, they're like, oh, we need to do different. And then they show Battlefield 4 and it's no different than Battlefield 3. You know, I understand people want a similar flavor, but you got to stir up the pot a little bit, man. I mean, you play a game like BioShock Infinite, and yes, it's a sequel to a degree, but it's just fresh and exciting, and not only is it visually different, it's fun to play. They dedicated themselves to the single player, which is another point I'll bring up a little bit. Just don't be afraid to risk and try to develop different things, because if you don't, people are going to, the safe route is not going to be the safe route because people are already getting sick of it. All right, you got to try something different because people are getting bored shitless. Now you don't have the excuse with next gen of having limited hardware to not be able to try a new idea. You have the more powerful hardware. Let's see you innovate. All right. Rise of indie developers. I think Minecraft really stirred up the whole industry this current generation. I don't think people saw it come out of nowhere, and it blew up. And I think that the big three are really going to embrace next gen, or they're going to embrace indie developed titles, and they should. All right, they're more affordable. They bring those innovative ideas like I just talked about. And it's something that needs to be done because there are so many brilliant ideas coming from small mom and pop development teams that really need to have a spotlight on them. Like, I loved Xenoclash this generation. I already pre-ordered Xenoclash 2. I cannot wait to play that tomorrow. The indie developed games are going to be huge next gen, and I want them to be. I'm excited for that. The next thing I want to talk about, you got to give the consumer freedom. The whole anti-used game thing, Microsoft, now I'm hearing rumors again. I just don't want to talk about it. Just the back and forth drives me insane. You got to give the consumer freedom. No always online. And the used game market, people get very defensive about this. And look, I buy most of my games new now. I think I bought God of War Ascension, I think, used, but everything I either buy on Steam or I buy the game new. I just bought BioShock Infinite, which I'm giving away for the Smartphone Nation contest, my own copy. I bought that new. But every other market has a used market. Okay? There's a used car market, there's used TVs, there's used computers, there's used everything. You could go on eBay right now and buy albums used. All right? I'm sure I could even buy some software if it doesn't have DRM on it. I could buy that used. You can't limit people. People need to feel like they own the console, they own the hardware, they own the software. You know, you got to do it in a way, or if you don't want to do the used game things, you got to make, and actually it's another bullet, but I'll tie it into this one, you got to make digital distribution affordable. Microsoft, I know this generation, there's been news stories on IGN and other places that you got laughed at. You would try to offer the same damn game, and Nintendo's doing it now too. I got to call Nintendo out on this too. You could buy, you know, that game at GameStop for $20 and you're offering it on Xbox Live for 40 or 50, and Nintendo's doing the same thing too. That's why part of why Steam has been so successful, guys. I'm talking to all three, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. It's been successful because, one, unless there's third-party DRM, you feel like you own the games. Okay, you can play the games as long as they're fully updated. You could play the games if you don't have an internet connection. Like, you feel like you own your library. And on top of it, Steam has daily sales. And like 70% of the time, like the weekends, they have the real good deals. And midweek madness, they have good deals. But even daily ones, they have like this surprise game that was like a AAA title. And it's like $10. You got to do things like that. You can't expect to make every game stay $60 forever with your digital distribution, whatever business plan you're going to have for it, and expect to do as well as Steam did. It's just not going to happen. You got to give the consumer freedom. Stop with the always online BS and stop trying to kick out used games. You can't do it. That's part of the reason why people buy consoles. Honestly, if you're going to go the either digital distribution or no used game route, you might as well go PC. It just doesn't make any sense at that point. And this is a huge one. No gimmicks. Look, I know that they're going to have Kinect 2.0 with every Xbox 720 or Infinite or whatever the hell they're calling it. But, I mean, it worked for a short time with Nintendo. But look at what happened with the Wii U. There was only a handful of games, and some people pointed out other games that it worked well with, that work well with motion controls. A lot of the games were gimmicks where you were wagging around your hand like an idiot, and it just, in the end, it kind of backfired on them. You know, Nintendo got lost that hardcore appeal from the hardcore gamer. And if you're going to go down that route where every other game is going to be that family-oriented, dancing around like an idiot game, I'm not saying there isn't markets for it. Like the Dance Dance Revolution, people like that shit, okay? But don't try to shoehorn in gimmicks with every game to try to cater to a market that honestly doesn't give a shit. They moved on to tablets and smartphones, just like I talked about before. Make good games, make core games. I'm not saying totally ignore that audience, but don't try to shove the gimmicks down everyone's throat with every single game that you develop like you did with this current generation. I want to see less DLC. I know this ain't going to happen. It's why it's called a wish list. Look, when DLC, I remember at least the first DLC I paid attention to was for Grand Theft Auto 4. And I thought at the time it was a really exciting thing. Like, wow, you know, they waited a while, you know, if everyone finished the game and they're giving you more of a great game. Yeah, that's a cool thing. But then when people started to realize they can make an assload of money off of DLC, then there's day one DLC, and then there's DLC on the disc, and there's DLC, you know, pouring out of my ass. There's DLC everywhere. Look, I get it. You need to make money. But, and I understand, like, they were defending it too, saying, oh, you know, we instead of having developers just sit around doing nothing, which I find to be a pile of crap, they could work on another game or do something else. We decided to make DLC for the game. It's not that the product wasn't finished. We just wanted to be busy and be productive and work on something else. DLC was meant to broaden the experience, not when you release a game to have the game be gimped so it forces you to go out to buy the DLC. Really shady business practice. You can make all the excuses you want to. You can't justify it. I'm not saying get rid of DLC because there is benefits to it, but cool off with all the gimmicks that try to milk money out of people's pockets, man. It's ridiculous. And the last one I want to see come back, and BioShock Infinite again, I'm not trying to brown nose that game, is a perfect example. You can make a AAA desirable single player only game. It can happen. Stop shoehorning and shoving multiplayer experiences that suck down people's throats. You're wasting your energy on something that could have been used to make the single player experience longer and better, and you're putting in a multiplayer experience to try to entice more people to buy your game, and in the end, people stop playing it after 2 weeks. like Tomb Raider. And just that's the first one off the top of my head. I can't think of anything else right now, but there's been a billion games that have multiplayer that is just pointless and stupid and doesn't make sense. You can still make money off a game that is single player only. You know what? I'm going to buy the BioShock Infinite DLC. There you go. You make a single player game, you make it a good, solid, balanced experience, and then if people like it that much, like I did, you'll go out and buy the DLC. Stop with everything needing multiplayer. It's like ever since Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original one, came out, every game has to have multiplayer. And honestly, like 3 games, people end up playing like 3 games online and the rest of them just collect dust. So it was a waste of research and development, or that research and development could have been used to make the single player even better. Single player is still relevant. Get that through your skulls. Okay, I'm done. Let me know what you want for next gen in the comments section below. Have a good one.